Did you know that every year the federal government launders tens of millions of dollars for the worst drug cartels in the world? I'm not kidding. The Drug Enforcement Administration does this, but also not as a pro bono service for the cartels. Instead, it's a tactic that they use to get their foot in the door.
You launder 100,000 and you can figure out who dropped off the money. You work that person higher up into the organization. You find out who the traffickers are. You do bank subpoenas, you find out where the money is going.
Right, so the hope is, in the end, you arrest some high-level people and you seize a lot of the drugs and the cash along the way. Or at least that is supposed to be how it works. But what happens if corrupt agents, I don't know, they skim some cash off the top and they use it to, I don't know, if I was gonna guess, bankroll a worldwide pursuit of binge drinking and illicit sex? No, I didn't come up with that scenario off the top of my head. That is exactly what a ring of dozens of DEA agents and prosecutors did for years in the mid-2010s, according to thousands of secret documents obtained by the Associated Press. Right? And these assholes, they apparently call themselves Team America, and their ringleader, Jose Irizarry, he held no illusions about what he was doing, with him explaining his motive, saying, you can't win an unwinnable war. DEA knows this and the agents know this. We know we're not making a difference. Right? So he figures, well, why not milk it for all it's worth?
DEA is a game. The drug war is a game. It was a very fun game that we were playing.
And so here's how it worked. The agents would organize a trip to some foreign country that they wanted to go to, usually on some flimsy excuse like interviewing people or talking to local cops. Then they'd have agency staff wire funds to international accounts that they controlled, spend that money on themselves and falsify reports, which then would justify the next spending spree, then rinse, wash, and repeat. And I mean, the lives that they lived, they quickly began to resemble the lavish style of the drug kingpins that they were supposedly investigating. With them, for example, partying on a yacht full of booze and sex workers in Colombia, flushing away thousands of tax dollars at a strip club in the Dominican Republic, scoring dinners at a fancy restaurant and tickets to a soccer match in Madrid, even buying jewelry from Tiffany's, luxury sports cars, a nearly $800,000 home, and a personal boat.
And then we sprinkled in a couple work things in there, but it was more of a party first, work second type of deal.
And so after 5 years of tapping what they referred to as their debauchery piggy bank, the agents had just 5 convictions to show for it. But what's more concerning than the wasted money is the roller coaster of sexual depravity that eventually culminated in rape, right? And we know about that because the AP obtained logs from a WhatsApp chat with 5 agents, one of whom still works with the DEA today. And in that, they joke about creating a hooker app in which agents would sneak prostitutes past everything from a hotel front desk to DEA internal affairs while trying to avoid federal prison. Some of the text reading, like in 2017, one agent writing, Jose, you're just smashing ass. Nothing wrong with that. Under Trump, you're good. Then in another message, an agent told them he was, quote, hoping you've organized some welcome pussy for me tomorrow when I land. Also going through the text, anal apparently held a special place in their heart. In fact, so much that they coined a term for it, pancaking. But the big thing is that all of this apparently wasn't just like locker room talk, with the AP finding at least 2 references to assaulting sex workers and leaving it to an informant to clean up the mess. Which brings us to an agent by the name of George, a then 38-year-old married man who took a 23-year-old woman back to his government-funded hotel room in Spain. With her telling the AP and investigators, I told him very clearly that I didn't want to have sex, adding that she was on her period that night, but then according to her, he forced her to have anal sex with him, but then even locking herself in the bathroom before fleeing the hotel through the fire exit in a state of utter shock. And the police and the paramedics, they found her with bruises around her wrists and George very drunk. So he gets arrested, he's thrown in jail, but within hours, the DEA swooped in for the rescue, with the agency chief in Spain calling the command center outside Washington, notifying 3 dozen officials in total, including then acting administrator Robert W. Patterson. And so you saw the U.S. Embassy sending officials to the jail, and within a day, George was released without bail, with then the judge dismissing the case 6 weeks later at the prosecutor's request. And after just a brief internal probe and suspension, George went back to work with only a letter reprimanding him for showing, quote, poor judgment. Meanwhile, the DEA, they never spoke to the woman he allegedly raped. In fact, the ranking official in Spain, they didn't even have her contact information, nor do they appear to have even tried to get hotel surveillance footage or medical exam results. And in the meantime, you have this woman saying she has severe panic attacks now, they forced her to drop out of college, and to this day, she is still haunted by fears that her attacker is going to return. Now, to try to be fair to the agency, once Irizarry got caught, it began investigating all this misconduct and all the corruption a little more seriously, with then George refusing to testify before a grand jury, with him then being stripped of his gun, badge, and security clearance, with him then resigning. Meanwhile, Irizarry got arrested in 2020, and he's currently serving a 12-year prison sentence. But so far, no criminal charges have been filed against anyone else involved in his operation. And this, even though more than a dozen have been quietly disciplined or ousted from their jobs. And so years later, you have people just waiting to see if accountability means anything in the DEA, but it also has many asking, well, why would it now?